Hi, this is Reverend Carolyn Harville with the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for joining me. This is our weekly update, and it's just a pleasure to share with you some of what happened on Sunday morning and what we are looking forward to next week. Sunday morning was a little different. The things that are happening in El Paso and Dayton bring us to a place where we question, where we wonder. And we know in our teaching that as metaphysicians, ours is to see the higher, the better. To know that even though there is so much violence, so much discord, so much hatred in the world, there is in our future a world that works for everyone. And we hold to that, and we know that, and we stand together and in spirit in knowing this. It still hurts to think of all the families that were affected by the two shootings. And there's other violence all around the world all the time. It saddens us that one human being can do that to another. And we wonder why. I don't think there's any easy answer to that. I know that my part is to work as hard as possible to share love and presence and joy in my life. And it is my choice to do that. And so we struggle and we work and we know and we celebrate and we are deeply appreciative of having the opportunity to see in a different way. The many members of the Centers for Spiritual Living went earlier last week to the border. And there were 400 spiritual leaders there. They were not to stand against anything. They were to stand for all of us, to stand for a knowing of joy, a knowing of life, a knowing of prosperity, a home for everyone, a place of feeling like you belong and like you have friends and that there's opportunity to grow. And so while sometimes in our politics we can say this or that, it's more for us to know that it is possible that we can all live together and we can have a world that works for everyone. And so we don't pray just for the people that we like. We pray for everyone to grow and know more about the truth of who they are. We did talk about that. And then when I shared a story in a video about two professors in California created these seesaws. And they go through the fence on the border. And they're bright pink. And there were 3 of them set up. And they set them up. And then people from the American side and from the Mexico side were seen laughing and joking and talking through the fence and seesawing. And it brought such a bright moment of happiness and joy and laughter. You know, it's not going to settle any problems. It's not going to be the answer to everything. But it is going to stand symbolically for the fact that what happens on one side of the border happens on the other, or affects what happens on the other. And in truth, we're all just one. You know, one of the internet things, the benefits of internet, is to understand that no matter whether you live in Russia, or you live in China, or you live in America, or you live in South America, wherever you live, all you want, truly want, is to love and to be loved, to be safe, to have a home, to have a roof, to have running water, and to have potential. And when we understand that about each other, that all of those preconceived ideas drop away. So we talked about that and we laughed about that. With all that we shared, and we shared some great stories, one of our members did an obstacle course. And I didn't realize that that was such a big thing. And he shared about it. And it was so delightful to hear. It's 8 miles long. It's 26 obstacles. This one was muddy. And it was called the Tough Muddy. I think I got that right. And He talked about being on your hands and knees and being on your belly, going through the mud and climbing walls covered with mud. And it was such a wonderful story about doing something just for himself, because he knew he would enjoy it. He knew it would be a benefit to him, both emotionally and physically. And what a neat thing that is, and to share that with the rest of us. Then we finally wound our way around to the time for my talk, and there wasn't any time left. So I answered a couple of questions and introduced Maimonides. Maimonides lived in the 12th century, and he is respected both by Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. There are few philosophers and teachers that can be said about. That all three of the major religions, the Abrahamic religions, respect him and trust him and read him for inspiration and for knowledge and understanding. So we're going to be talking about him. We didn't do much this Sunday, but next Sunday we will be more talking about him and his attitudes toward charity and his other famous quotes. I wanted to share one quote with you. This is by Abraham Joshua Herschel. And Maimonides was Jewish, was a rabbi. He was also an astrologer, a physician, historian, and an author. He recorded so much in the written word. That's one of the reasons that we look to him, because so many of the wise ones from his generation and before, their writings have been lost except for little snippets here and there. But anyway, Abraham says, if one did not know that Maimonides was the name of a man, one would assume it was the name of a university. His depth of knowledge, his depth of sharing, his depth of understanding multiple disciplines was astounding when he was alive and ever since. So we're going to be talking more about him next week, and we're going to be sharing some of his most famous quotes. He is given credit by many people, not by everyone, but by many, many people, that he was the first one to say, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. And so with Maimonides, the first, give a man a fish, is very low on the charitable things that we are called to do. Whereas teaching a man or a woman to take care of themselves, to be able to feed themselves, to be able to have hope for the future, that is the height of charity. Not as the Pharisees telling everybody you're doing it, but just doing it for yourself, for them, and because it's the right thing to do. I hope that you will have an opportunity to read our update this week. I'm going to be including some of the quotes by Maimonides. And then if you can, join us next Sunday, and we'll talk about him more in depth and the basic truths that he has shared with us. So I invite you to be with us. I invite you to come and share with us. We had Social Sunday today, and we almost all of us stayed and ate dinner. And it was just delightful to sit around round tables and talk, really talk, and enjoy each other. And so we hope that in September, the first Sunday in September, maybe you'll choose to join us for another Social Sunday. But right now, have a great week. Have a wonderful moment of knowing that you are loved, that you are potential, and that Spirit is right where you are as you. Blessings, joy. Talk to you next week.